Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over GuyWithSword's defense. This is the second time he's been through here, so we're going to grade him extra hard. Yes, that's right. You can send your screenshots back to me, and I will go over them. If the list finally gets short, like it did, it's finally getting short. I'm caught up on my backlog. I'll go over your defense again, but I will grade you much harder the second time around. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Jumping right into with team number 1 is a fantastic 4. Now check this out. He's got 2 strikers, 2 skirmishers. He's got She-Hulk as a fortifier right in the center. I don't know why I hold this sheet of paper. It's just blank paper, but I'm always holding it. He's got her as a fortifier. I prefer her as a skirmisher, but like I tell everybody, she doesn't have a ton of synergy with any of the ISOs, so you can really make her whatever you want. This is a perfectly placed team. You've got the extra investment in Invisible Woman. That's probably where it should go. Honestly, this is actually a decent defense. It's obviously not a top tier defense. It's nothing to get excited about, but it scales well. I know people at the high end of the game that are still using this team on defense. So if you want to put the investment into it, there is some value in it. The only thing you can do to improve this team that would be real value without wasting anything would be making them all war ready. So I'm gonna give you an A- for that. Excuse me. Okay. This is a Sinister 6 leftover team. You're using the extras, not Doc Ock, and I don't like seeing Doc Ock with this team because his associates here actually make it easier to kill him. I get very frustrated when people leave a solo Doc Ock because a solo Doc Ock for me is harder than doing it when these people are on the field. You can kill Mysterio, then kill his clones in the summon, and you get some turn meter going. Some of these guys are pretty squishy, relatively speaking, and you can get turn meter going. And so an Axeman or a Symbiotes can just roll over this team pretty fast. And once you get them sped up, they will just annihilate Doc Ock. So save Doc Ock for something else. If you like this team and you want to use it, this team with Doc Ock works great on offense. It has a lot of uses that you can put them towards. But don't use Doc Ock on this team. So this is great. This is what I like to see. I want to see them war ready. We're a ways off. All 5 characters are not war ready. You went Raider pretty much across the board with Striker on Mysterio. Now, I think I like Mysterio as a striker. He does call assists. So if you were to make some of these other guys skirmishers, like say Shocker, make him a skirmisher. I like Shocker as a skirmisher. I kind of like Swarm as a skirmisher also. But honestly, Striker, Skirmisher, or Raider, they all have some pretty good value there. But since you have level 1 on 2 of those guys, probably make those 2 guys Skirmishers so you get a little bit more value out of your Mysterio since he's clearing on his basic. Yeah, War Ready. The placement on this version doesn't matter so much. I like that you're keeping Rhino in your back pocket for those X-Factor offense builds, so that's nice. Yeah, you're doing a lot right here. You just need to beef them up. So again, I'm gonna go with an you know what, I'm gonna give you the B+ on this one because I do think you should probably change some of those ISOs, and of course none of them are war ready. Team number 3 is a wave 1 with Hill and Coulson. Okay, it's interesting. I think Maria Hill is going to just be a liability for this team with her summons, but her summons don't pop off as early as Fury's does, so that's not quite so bad. She does have some synergy with Coulson. I think she has some synergy with the other S.H.I.E.L.D. members, which I believe is just Captain America. So you got healer on your tanks there. You have Raider on Thor. I like that. I like Thor as a Raider because he does AoE attacks and he's putting out those vulnerables for other people to work off. Like Coulson, who has great turn meter rewind on his basic. So I love the ISOs that you're doing here. I think they should be war ready. I don't think anybody is going to... I don't know if anybody's going to waste a Symbiotes or an Axeman on this team. And Coulson might do enough damage, being he's beefed up so much. He might do enough damage to blow up a Symbiotes before they could get the turn meter off of those summons. So actually, this might work out for you. I think if you drew in an equivalent Axeman, I think you should consider that a win because that team could be better used elsewhere. And this team isn't going to be very easy. So I kind of like what you're doing here. I'm going to go ahead and give you an A- for this team. Kind of want to go B+ because you have 3 members that are not war ready. But I'll give you an A- because it's something new and I like new stuff. Team number 4 is a Brotherhood Wakandans mashup. I wanted to say Mercs, but it's technically a Wakandans mashup. Okay, so Juggernaut makes Magneto like twice as good, right? Because he makes Magneto just pop off real early with that blind. I don't know if the deflex from Blob and the defense up from Shuri is going to help the survivability of this team. I would probably try and come in and like ability block Magneto early on before, well, I guess you got Blob taunting. So that's going to be tough too. Wow, you know what? This team ain't so bad. There's virtually no synergy between the Wakandans and the Brotherhood. But the defense up and then the synergy with Shuri and Killmonger is pretty good. And you've got a high investment in those two. So I'm curious what your Merc team looks like. This is a very interesting team. It's not unbeatable. It's different. I just don't know if maybe Juggernaut would be better in here than Killmonger, but the offensive potential of Killmonger can't be denied. So, you know what? I kind of dig it. You got Killmonger with his native ISO 8, which is Raider. On the Mercs, I like him as a skirmisher. Of course, healer on Shuri, skirmisher on Blob. That is correct. He does counterattacks. That's why you want him as a skirmisher. Skirmisher on Toad. You should probably take Toad to a level 5 skirmisher, making sure he strips those positive effects on his opening move. And then you have Magneto as a striker. There's going to be plenty of vulnerables for Magneto to work off of, but Magneto doesn't have a lot of damage really. But honestly, there's not really a better pick for this team because you don't have anybody else that deserves the striker. So I kind of like it. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Let's make Killmonger war ready and boost Toad to a level 5 skirmisher for that extra chance to clear positive effects. Honestly, this might even be a decent offensive team, actually. Yeah, so I like this. I'm going to give you an A- for this one also. PymTech. PymTech's just a filler team. I don't really like them. Your placement could use some adjusting. I think swap places with Wasp and Yellow Jacket. That way you have the two dodgy characters blocking or in between the two tanks from Yellow Jacket. You have the proper power investment in the proper tunes. I mean, it's Yellow Jacket and Ghost are the only two you want to think about investing in on this team. And you've got skirmishers on the guys who are called in for the assists. Use Striker, Raider. Yeah, this is a good build. You might consider putting Fortifier on Strife. She is really squishy, and she is kind of underpowered for your build here. So I think you should change her to a Fortifier. It's not going to be worth your investment really at this point, but she's not that fast, and she doesn't have that big a health bar. That's why she kind of needs Fortifier. So, you know, this team is just kind of meh, in my opinion. You're not doing anything terribly wrong. Tweak that placement, change that ISO. I'm going to give you a B+ for this. Well, I got to admit, so far, GuyWithSword is doing pretty good on these. He's got some interesting stuff, and he's not making any real major mistakes. I don't know what value Scientist Supreme adds to this team, other than making it more challenging for Shadowlands to come in because she's got a cleanse. But you know, the same thing is kind of like when you run Minerva on this team and, you know, you kill Strife, you got to kill Minerva first because she's just going to revive Strife. With this, it's kind of different. You're ability blocking Emma, but you also have to ability block Scientist Supreme so she doesn't undo your ability block. So that's cool. I don't think Scientist Supreme is strong enough. Like, X Factor is going to blow through this just like anything else. But at least you're limiting your opponent on what they can use, because Shadowlands might be a risky scenario to use on this team. But yeah, I would definitely come into this with a X Factor. Mystique on this team is probably good because it's X Factor that you're using against it, and she's stealing positive effects. X Factor has lots of positive effects to be stolen if she takes a turn, because X Factor is so fast. Just so fast. But yeah, I kind of like this, actually. I like what you're doing. The only thing is make them war ready. You got to make them war ready. You might even consider changing Scientist Supreme to a Fortifier. You know, she's not she's not going to be taking that many turns. I know healer is her native ISO 8, but I would probably change her to a fortifier just to help her to stand up against the X Factor team, which is probably going to be the primary counter for this version right here. So A- for this team, doing pretty good so far. Here's the Mercs. He's got enough power that he doesn't really need to worry about X-Force. He's worried about the skilletary version, so he's got Ultimus in here, which helps with that. Good investment in the rest of the tunes. Really strong Taskmaster as a skirmisher. Only one Merc as a striker. I would rather you put all of your Mercs as strikers. Really bring out the damage potential of Taskmaster. However, wow, yeah, I really don't like Fortifier on Merc Lieutenant. Is that just so you're protecting against like a Negasonic opener, making sure he doesn't go under 50%? If so, then that's a smart move, but I don't think you need to. I think he's probably powerful enough. If not, take him to 14. 13 kind of sucks, you know? Go ahead and put the gear and take him to 14. Get the value out of those two tunes. Really make this a challenging team. Of course, there are lots of counters these days that beat the Mercs. They're way over the hill. But I think rather than going with the Fortifier and the Healer ISO, you should make them strikers, take them to gear tier 14, and this is going to be a pretty killer defense that people won't be able to mess around with. They'll have to use one of those good counters to take it out. So, yeah, I'm not super excited with the way you're going on this one. I'm going to go B- on that. Just because I'm a big fan of the Mercs, and I don't like to see them. I don't like to see them messed with. Okay, so we have like an Uncanny Doom with Minerva in here. This is interesting. I think Cyclops is going to need some love, and with Magic coming out yesterday, I think that it'd probably be a good time to do that. Let's see. Ooh, you have Skirmisher on Colossus. Now, Mr. Hargrave has told me that he needs to be a Fortifier. I'm starting to agree with him, but I'm not going to fault you for Skirmisher on them. Getting out that extra vulnerable for Doom to do his extra damage into, that's pretty good. However, I see you're running Fortifier on Cyclops. That's because you don't have the power into him. Hopefully you change that soon. Don't war ready him as a Fortifier. Instead, put the gear into him. Now that this team's getting a little touch up with Magic, put the gear into him. Make him a striker or at least a raider. I kind of like him as a striker. If you're going to have that extra vulnerable with Colossus, then probably go striker so he gets the extra damage out there with his big opener. Minerva is a healer, that's right. Phoenix, I really need to find out if taking Phoenix to a level 5 skirmisher, if that focus boost will carry over to her summons. I don't know for sure, and I keep forgetting to check. But I know you're not wanting to invest in her because it doesn't carry, like the ISO 8 doesn't carry over to Dark Phoenix. But the stats from investing in her ISOs do. I know that the 2% for each notch you go up does. So make her war ready. I do like her as a skirmisher, even though it's not a very important one, but do make her war ready. Yeah, so basically this is a team where you're kind of got it in a holding pattern, especially with Cyclops. I'd say it's time to work on this team, you know? It's probably like a secondary thing to do, but you could be working on this team and making it a lot better just by putting the gear into Cyclops, changing his ISO, going ahead and making Phoenix war ready. Otherwise, it's really good. It's a formidable team. I hate seeing these teams on defense. I don't see him on defense, though. I built a team specifically to go into it, which is a Kestrel team, which we'll see how Magic changes the game when we start seeing her on war defense. Oh, did I grade this? I'm going to give you a solid B on this. 9. Here is Eternals with some heavy hitters. Like I tell everybody else, I think wasting your big plug-and-play tunes with the Eternals is not a good idea, because people are going to come into this team with an Eternal team of their own, probably. Like, that's your primary thing to do, and just blow it up. And an Eternal killer team is going to kill whatever else you put in it, too. So I think it's better to put the Eternals with some like mid-level tunes, just some stuff that's gonna mess them up, like a Squirrel Girl or a Red Guardian or something that just kind of challenges you a little bit. That way they absolutely have to come in with an Eternal team or a Infinity Watch, you know. because that's what they're going to use on this, is an Eternal Team or an Infinity Watch or something to beat this. So why waste your Surfer, your Black Bolt, your Ultron, although Ultron's not much of a waste on this team, actually. You could probably leave him in there because he's going to revive once. Yeah. I don't like what you're doing here. I think it's a waste. Let's see, Skirmisher, Striker, lots of Strikers, and only one person putting out Vulnerables. Again, see, it's not a great synergistic team. So I think take those big tunes out, put something else in. Show me another fun build, man. You've got some great ideas going on. I think you can do better than this one. So this is, for me, is just a C because it seems like kind of a waste. You could be building 2 teams here instead of just this one. All right, and H for H, in the last spot where I like it. Raider, Skirmisher, Striker, Healer, Fortifier. I like Iron Fist as a Skirmisher also, but Healer is his native ISO that most people seem to be using. I think the Vulnerable on the field is more important than the heal, because a lot of times he's just dying and reviving, or he has heal block, and so it's, you know, not getting any use. So I do think the Skirmisher, you know, focusing on the offensive part of this team rather than the defensive part. I mean, it's a defense, not an offensive team, I know that, but, you know, strategically speaking, I think he should be putting the hurt on people rather than trying to heal the hurt. So otherwise, I think it's really good. I'm gonna go A- on this team because I think you should change that ISO if you really want to make it better. But it is kind of a splitting hairs thing. So yeah, A- on that. Okay, yeah, you know what? GuyWithSword, I think he did really good. I think he did really, really good on this setup, and I like that. If you want to have your defense featured on Defense Up, then just find me in my Discord. Links in the description below. And then you can come watch it filmed live on Twitch Tuesdays and Thursday mornings on the West Coast. Or you can just wait for it to pop up on YouTube. Either way, I hope you do send me your picks, because I absolutely love doing this. I have a lot of fun getting on here, going over everybody else's defense and learning from other people. It's the one time where I get to learn from your guys' mistakes instead of the other way around. So, all right, remember guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.